Welcome to the special edition of the NBA Playoff 2021 preview. Really, this video was a tribute to one of my personal favorites playoff preview videos created by Bill and Jalen back in 2014. It's so great that I've continued to watch that years over years, and I wanted to make a twist using the same great 18 questions, answered them in rapid fire fashion using the 2014 context. So, number one, which coach would I want to play for the most? Mike Malone from the Denver Nuggets. His time in Sacramento, he was obviously a lead assistant in Golden State when Mark Jackson built that Warriors team, the Splash Brother teams. And then in Sacramento, he did a great job with Isaiah Thomas and DeMarcus Cousins. And now with Denver, this team seems to always get it. This team seems to be great in terms of chemistry, know how to boost his team's confidence. Really, really enjoyable to watch. Question two, which team do I want to play most? I'm not a very good basketball player. I'm more like a backup point guard. I can't really shoot. So I want to pick a team that surround myself with good shooters so that I can pass the ball around. The Dallas Mavericks. Not a lot of expectations, so especially on the defensive end. So I should fit in with the Mavs. Actually, they are secretly a pretty good defensive team. But anyway, question three. LeBron James. Is LeBron James the greatest forward if he wins the third title? Back in 2014, that's after LeBron won two in a row. He eventually lost to the Spurs in his last year in Miami. Fast forward 8 years, he already has four rings. Now, if he win again, the question is whether he probably is the GOAT. And I guess the answer to me is no. He's great. He's amazing. He has a lot of accolades, but Michael Jordan's still there. Once he gets to number six, if he gets to number six, then we have a conversation, especially with all his career duration. Very likely that people would lean towards Mr. James. Question four, what's the best final matchup? Lakers, Brooklyn. Just from a media standpoint, star power standpoint. Let's see if that happens. Personally, while I would want to see that in a normal year, I personally don't want to see it too much because I want basketball to demonstrate that continuity matters. And the Nets, nothing against the Nets or the Lakers, they just play very few games together. And I don't want to establish precedent in the NBA and the basketball world that you can just build teams with talent alone and don't even need to practice or even play regular season games at all together. So I think from overall perspective, Lakers Brooklyn is going to attract the most attention, but personally, I have little hesitation on it. If you ask me, I want to see the Bucks in the finals, and I also want to see either the Jazz or the Nuggets in the final. That's just a personal preference. Question five. Does Miami need to win to keep LeBron James? This question sounds dumb when we ask this question, but what happened? LeBron James left as they lost to the Spurs in 2014. Everything can happen. Will LeBron James leave the Lakers? No, until his son comes to the NBA. No secret that LeBron wants to play with his son in this regard. So, question six, playoff teams that might make a panic trade if they lose early. We talk about Portland Trailblazers. We talk about CJ McCollum a lot. That team had tried that combo smaller guards for many years now. It's probably time to make a change. But that team is kind of like the Bucks in a sense that you simply don't know, and you simply felt that would never make changes in these regards. I think the more likely team, weirdly, is the Philadelphia 76ers. Daryl Morey, not afraid of making big trades. I would not be surprised if the Sixers lose in the first two rounds. It's going to pull the trigger on either Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid. Um, Sounds crazy, but Embiid's injury prone, so he's always in a trade target situation. So ask yourself a question: who says no? If there's a trade between core pieces between Ben Simmons and CJ McCollum, just trade a nice guard that can shoot the ball with Embiid, and then a very talented, bigger, especially defensive specimen in the Blazers. That sounds like a some core pieces. We can twist the minor things, but those two teams. Um, Question number 7. What happened to Indiana? So that year was a strange year that the Pacers had high hopes, but then they didn't play well. Kind of like this year. They thought they had something, but it just tells you what good coaches can do. Nate McMillan was great with Indiana for many years. He was let go, and then he went to become an assistant to the Hawks, which didn't play well at all until he took over the head coaching job. So Nate McMillan, both the record of the Hawks and the Pacers this year really helped his case to be a very good coach many years to come in this league. Question 8: who gets overpaid next year? Dennis Schroeder, maybe? If the Lakers can go far, he's a free agent. He's going to get some money. People would be throwing starters or even very good starter point guard money to him. Number 9, who's a sleeper title contender? Still Denver Nuggets. That team is amazing. Very good team. Even if they lose their second best player, their model was the 2011 Mavs when they lose Caron Butler and they still win the championship. So don't underestimate Jokic and Nuggets. Sleeper. Question 10: will Dwayne Wade, Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan fade first? What a question in 2014. All of them obviously now retired. Duncan, congratulations to be in the 2020 Hall of Fame class. Both Wade and Dirk, no brainer. It's going to be first ballot Hall of Fame as well. Don't even know how to translate that into these years' context, but LeBron, if I throw the question LeBron, Kevin Durant, who will fade first? Kevin Durant is just very injury prone. Maybe he's gonna fade first. I really don't know. LeBron has been amazing, but he's still a few more years older than Mr. Durant. So you've got to go with LeBron, but I guess the difference is going to be very minor in this regard. Question 11: Phoenix. That's the year that the Phoenix Suns won 48 games and was amazing. They missed the playoffs, but that run with Dragic and Bledsoe was crazy. And that was pretty much the last fun moment of the Phoenix Suns. They since then used the three-point guards. They lost track. They got Alex Len. They got Dragon Bender, until they finally got Mr. Booker, and until they finally this year got Chris Paul, and now they are the number 2 team, just one win short of the best record in the NBA. Amazing year. If they are to face the Lakers in the first round, that sounds a little unfortunate, which probably is true, but I actually probably will pick Phoenix just because of continuity, just because of the backcourt is going to dominate the Lakers backcourt. I just felt the Suns is a very, very good basketball team this year. Question 12: players that we are happy that they finally made the playoff. Easy for me, Devin Booker. We just mentioned him. He's too good to not make the playoffs and create some really memorable moments. So congrats. Julius Randle, give a shout out for Knicks' amazing year. Question 13. Had the Lakers and the Clippers switch bodies? Nope, not yet in 2014 and certainly not yet in 2021. Nobody's talking about the Clippers. That's good for them. Let's see. There's a lot of expectations internally, probably some externally, but because last year's falter to the Nuggets, I think people have some reservations. They don't have overly high hopes for the Clippers, but on paper, that team is the most talented team with some championship experience in Kawhi Leonard and in Ty Lue, their coach. And also, they they are relatively healthier than the Nets and the Lakers, so that team should go in as probably the favorite to win this year's championship. Question 14. Heat check championship belt. I'm going to give it to Jordan Clarkson of the Utah Jazz. It's been a crazy year for him. Amazing. First of all, he signed this 52 million 4 years contract. That sounds a little over, but turns out this year he's great. He's amazing. He's going to win the Sixth Man of the Year most probably. Um, if he's on fire, he can give you 40. He can give you 30. He can give you a lot of points. So, Jordan Clarkson. Um, Question 15. Why is everybody mean to Blake Griffin? So that's the Lob City era, when people are just throwing punches at Blake. And in the 2021 version, Blake Griffin, still alive, still playing very good. Throwing down some dunks and some highlights. He's going to be very important to play against Giannis and Joel. Two teams with serious bigs, and the Nets don't have too many bigs, so he's going to be important. But against Giannis and against Joel Embiid, I think the general public's probably going to support Blake because normally people want to support the underdog, and even though the Nets are not underdog in any series, Blake against the two MVP candidates will be. So good luck to him, and hopefully he can prove that he can have great value still in this league. Number 16 is Brooklyn, a contender. That's the year that the Brooklyn Nets have Darren Williams, Joe Johnson, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Brook Lopez. At that time, the most expensive starting five probably in history. They won the first round against the Raptors in 7, and then they lose in 5 to the Heat. This year, no question, they are a contender. I think the more valid question is how far can they go? And as I said, they only played so few games with the big three that is going to be difficult, especially on the defensive end, whether they communicate well enough. And none of them in their career have proved to be vocal leaders on defensive end. And let's see if that's actually going to change. Anybody out of that group is going to step up on that end. Question 17, LeBron James and Kevin Durant rivalry. Both of them played the same position generally. They started their career as a small forward. Now they're like a power forward in their teams. They have one final contest against each other, but that's 2012. That's almost 9 years ago, which is quite unfortunate when we think it back then. And if the Lakers aren't injured, it's actually a very good chance that these two teams are going to meet in the finals and add another nice page. Oh, wait. No. Actually, they played a lot more in the finals. I lost track in time that Mr. Durant played for the Warriors, and they played a lot more against the Cavaliers. Another 2 years in the finals. So Durant is leading 2-1. Not leading in the argument, though, because he joined that Warriors team. So let's see if there is going to be a nice contest between the two teams and the two guys again. Final question. Which Western Conference coach is under the hot seat the most? I looked into the West, and actually I looked into the East standings. That the 10 playoff plus play-in team, the most disappointing team among out of these group probably is the Boston Celtics, but Brad Stevens probably is not going to go anywhere. So the obvious candidate will be, unfortunately, Mr. Stotts from the Blazers. But as I said, that group is kind of like the Bucks in the West. They don't necessarily like to change these things too much. So Terry Stotts has got a lot of pressure on his shoulder again this year, but let's see if he's going to deliver some interesting matchups, switches, strategies, in this year's playoff. In theory, the West is wide, wide, wide open to the point that the Blazers can go very deep or even win the conference. They have a lot of depth, so there's quite high expectation. Um, but there you go. Or 18 rapid fire question style. Again, give a shout out to Bill and Jalen. Amazing video, and I still watch their videos a lot of the times. And just want to give a little twist to the playoff preview that we're going to do for 2021. Can't wait to watch all the games. Cheers.